Alright everyone, well, welcome back to Britain. It's the Great Ace Attorney. You know, I was really surprised when you voted for this, because it wasn't the most popular series before. I thought for sure you'd go for one of the other options, but I'm happy, because I love Ace Attorney. I didn't want to finish this in my own time, just in case we ended up getting back to it, and here we are, 5 months later. I watched a video, my video, of this, so that I could get the voices back. And yes, this is what I chose for Van Zeeks, whatever my name is. So yeah, we can get right back into it. I will remind you, since you might not have watched that video again recently, I believe the last thing we're talking about is Scarf Man. That's me. Yeah, Scarf Man. I messed up the crime scene so I wouldn't have to deal with it and I could go on a date with my fiancée. And, I don't know, Van Zeeks is talking about something. We'll find out. So, my learned friend, today's sightseeing tour of London is now over. What? What are you talking about? My lord. The prosecution requests permission to call its next witness to the stand. Is it Garadeb? Who else could it be? Oh no, it's gonna be Fancy Pants. Granted. Bailiff, bring forth the witness. Its next witness?
Mr. Naruhodo, do you not remember? We've been told on several occasions there were eyewitnesses to the incident.
Despite other people not being able to see, anyway. Yes, I remember. One of them being a Scotland Yard policeman, no less.
I'm afraid that's likely to be the prosecution's next witness.
Is Fancy Pants a policeman? Alright, no matter who Van Zeeks brings to the stand as his witness, and no matter what they say, I believe in Soseki-san. I know he's innocent. And I'll keep believing to the very end, until this battle is over. Nice. Go get him. Actually, I'm not a Scotland Yard policeman. My bad. Wait, did I load the wrong one? Did continue not load the next save? Because if he introduces himself, then I know it didn't work properly. Yeah, I don't think it loaded properly. Hold on. Let's see. What was the last thing he said in this video? He said, okay, this is the right one. Okay, we're good. Apparently we're in the middle of a cross-examination. Good lord, this is gonna be tough.
Well, Mr. Naruhodo, what do you make of all of this?
Yeah, the whole idea of an invisible attacker has been troubling me all along. But I believe I'm starting to get a picture of what really happened here now. The fourth book that had no business being at the scene of the crime made me sure that Mrs. Garadeb was hiding something from us. But it's becoming increasingly clear that someone else has been hiding from us as well. I think I may already be armed with everything I need to strike a decisive blow here. This time, I'm going to expose the whole truth about this mysterious affair. An affair? She comes out and starts beating people. Okay, anyway. This case has nothing to do with Mr. and Mrs. Garadeb. Believe me, a London bobby is good for his word. You see, sir, the windows on the top floor of the Garadeb house are top hinged casements. Okay, this is looking a lot more familiar to me.
Obviously, if anything had been thrown out of the window, we would have seen it. I did leave the scene to go fetch help, but my trusty Rolly was there to make sure nothing was disturbed. What happened was, I dropped my bouquet and ended up losing my way for a while.
I think it's that one, right? I didn't take my eye off the crime scene for one moment, sir. Nothing strange to report on that front, sir. So let's see. Because we have something. What does it say? Shock of seeing the stab victim caused Mrs. B to drop the rose where she stood. Where she stood. Let me press. Let me see. You mean you dropped the bouquet at the scene of the crime?
Yes, that's right. Oh, I was so upset. When we ran over and saw it was a woman with a knife in her back, I was so shocked I dropped the bouquet Rolly gave me. It was in a dark spot where the streetlights weren't casting any light, so I didn't even notice at first.
And then you went to the police box to report it to the policeman whose beat it was on.
Yes, and I came back to the scene together with the other constable, you see. That's when I spotted my bouquet again. But the funny thing was, when I went to pick it up, it was nowhere near the victim's body at all.
In case you need reminding, Mrs. Beat, the victim is not deceased.
I was all flustered for a moment before I heard a voice calling me from the other side of the road.
Your husband, presumably.
That's right. Silly me. I'd gone over to the wrong side of the street. Although, I'm going to blame the bouquet this time. I can't think of how it got there. I really can't.
So the bouquet somehow moved from one side of Briar Road to the opposite.
Curious indeed.
I ain't take my eye off it, Okay. Is there like something that says specifically? Yeah. No? Okay. I know what we're getting at, I just don't know how to get there. But it's the only panic-stricken look I know. Okay. Let's just start from the beginning with the presses. Okay, fine, I'll do this one. How can you say that for certain? It's a very good question, sir. And the answer is this. It's the noble founding principles of the force written on it. It hides the noble founding principles of the force written on it as a reminder to all of us policemen of our sworn duties.
He showed us that before, didn't he?
Did he? I can't say I remember. To patrol the streets of London town and to uphold the peace of the common man. It's what the job's all about. And that's why I can stand here today beside my long-suffering wife and tell you a Bobby's good for his word. Oh, she's his wife, not his fiancée. My bad. While rubbing my tired eyes, admittedly, sir.
Oh, Rolly, you're so manly.
Of course I am, my darling Patricia. Oh, Pa.
Oh, Rolly.
Oh, brother. I believe that was already a joke. No, none of this is what I meant. I meant, how can you say for certain the case has nothing to do with Mr. and Mrs. Garadeb? I see, sir. You said so earlier, sir. Yes, well, could you answer the question? That was a waste of time, then. Absolutely, sir. I will answer it to the fullest of my ability, sir. There's a surprising reason why Mr. and Mrs. Garadeb's domestic dispute can't be related to this case. You see, sir, the windows on the top floor of the house are top-inch casements. By which you mean they don't open fully, is that correct? Yes, sir. They're just there to allow a bit of air through the house, you see, so they're restricted as to how much they can open. And therefore, anything thrown out of the window from inside that room would simply strike the pane and fall to the street below. For clarity, allow me to mark the map. Here is the location where the objects would have fallen.
Yes. Directly opposite of the scene of the crime on the other side of a rather wide road. My apologies.
Would it have been so hard for someone to mention this top-hinge casement thing before? Well, I have another question for you, Constable. And what would that be, sir? How do you even know? Why would you have any idea what sort of windows Mr. and Mrs. Garadeb's house is furnished with? Well, sir, that's very simple. You see, I helped with the investigation yesterday. Oh, interesting.
Excuse me. What are you talking about?
Do you have something to add, Mrs. Beat?
Sorry?
You look, well, delighted. Is there some particular reason for that?
Oh, I was just remembering, that's all. We really were so lucky.
Lucky? What do you mean?
Well, of course I feel terrible for the poor woman who was attacked. Don't misunderstand me, please. But we were just so lucky it didn't happen on Rowley's beat. It was so close, you see.
Oh, I hadn't realized.
Oh yes, that street, Prior Road. It's the boundary between Rowley's beat and the next one. Isn't that right, my love?
Don't talk to me. Constable Beat! Yep, still dozing. Yes, that's right. That's the reason I was helping out with the interviewing the occupants of the Garadab household yesterday. Their house is on my beat, you see, sir. That really was cutting it close then.
Constable, I wonder if you could clarify something. If the Garadab household is on your beat, does that mean the pavement next to it is as well?
Outside Mr. Garadab's house? Yes, ma'am. The pavement on that side of the road is part of my beat. I see. I was unaware of that.
I just think, if the woman had been attacked on the other side of Briar Road, we would never have been able to go for that meal to celebrate our wedding anniversary. But that's the life of a bobby, after all.
Extraordinary people are bobbies, tirelessly working for the benefit of all Londoners.
Do you know what I think? I think it was the good Lord's way of rewarding my Rowley for all his hard work.
Yes, that's right. Definitely that.
Don't you think so, my darling?
That must be it, my love. That must be it. Yep. Exactly.
And now it's my turn, I think.
Okay, well that was a lot of interesting information, but like we didn't get anything. Obviously, if anything had been thrown into the window, we would have seen it. Did have seen it go fetch help, but my trusty Rolly was there to make sure nothing was disturbed.
Yes, you said you went to a nearby police box to fetch another officer. Is that right?
That's right, yes. If it had been on Rowley's beat, I would have known exactly where I was going, of course.
Don't feel bad, my love. You can't be expected to know the location of every police box on every beat.
So, Rowley told me the way, only I sort of got a little lost on my way.
Patricia, my darling, that's why I love you. Your terrible sense of direction is just bewitching to me. Hey, Pat.
Oh, Rowley.
It makes it really easy for me to manipulate you sometimes. I mean, nothing. Oh, please. Oh, brother, this guy stinks.
Okay.
So, suppose I was gone for about 15 minutes. But, like I said, my Rowley was at the scene the entire time, making sure nothing was disturbed.
I was off duty at the time, of course, but a true Bobby's never really off duty, sir.
So, like, I've already done this one. Is it this one? Did I not do this one?
Nothing to report? That's correct, sir. I had my eyes wide open the entire time. Didn't look away for a second. No one else approached the scene, and nothing was removed from it. I can swear that on the yard's honor, sir.
Really? That seems a little strange.
Beg your pardon, sir? Strange, sir? Seems altogether regular to me.
This burnt copy of The Lion's Pride was originally in the Garadab household. So the question remains, how did it find its way into the hand of the victim? Can you shed any light on that, seeing as you were at the scene of the crime the entire time?
Sorry, I think I'm going to take a nap instead of answering your... Aha! It could be a different copy, sir. One that just happened to be burnt as well. Even if that were possible, why would the victim have been gripping a book like that in her hand? As we can see from this photographic print, she had a bag over her shoulder. You're starting to piss me off, sir. Well, sir, that book was in the lady's hand from the moment we arrived on the scene. Is that so? There's something about this statement that's not sitting right with me. The two mysteries of how that knife ended up in her back and how that book ended up in her hand. There must be some common thread between them. Okay. I think I know what I have to do. I have to get back into Ace Attorney mode, where sometimes you just have to press something that doesn't seem super important to get to your point. So, they said nothing... Whoops. If anything had been thrown out the window, we would have seen it. But, like... the book... the knife... Didn't she confirm that the knife was from their household? I don't remember, but... No? Seriously? Okay, well... He said there was something odd about the last statement, so... I didn't take my eye off the crime scene for one moment, so nothing strange to report. Okay. So that's what we're... It could be that. It could be, because the what happened to the bouquet, you didn't see that? Or it could be the book. It's not the book. It feels like it should be the book. Wait, this isn't... I can't skip through this. Is this important? No, okay, why couldn't I skip through it then? Okay, cool. You invited, sir. Well, I'm almost out of health. I hadn't taken a single point of damage until now. Okay, it is. It's the bouquet. Because you didn't see what happened to the bouquet? Okay. You claim, Constable Beat, there was nothing to report in the 15 or so minutes you were guarding the scene. But that cannot be.
What? What do you mean to say?
In your testimony just now, Mrs. Beat, you explained to the court that when you arrived back at the scene of the crime with the policeman assigned to that beat, the bouquet you dropped at the victim's side was no longer anywhere nearby. Yes, on the opposite side of Briar Road to where the victim was attacked. But considering the size of that meager bouquet, if a single sorry bloom can be so described, no doubt it was blown in the wind across the street, back into the gutter where it belongs. Yikes, rude.
Meager?
But if that were the case, why did Constable Beat not testify to that fact?
No one else approached the scene, and nothing was removed from it. Constable Beat swore to that on Scotland Yard's honor. But the bouquet belonged to me. It has nothing to do with this case. That's why Rolly didn't mention it, I'm sure.
No, because sadly it's not only your bouquet we're talking about here. More than one thing in this case is mysteriously the wrong way around. What are you talking about? Think about it. Besides Mrs. Beat's bouquet, there's Mr. Garrideb's book. Which is the other thing I just presented another thing, but whatever. Mr. Garrideb's copy of The Lion's Pride, which was thrown out the window by his wife, would have struck the pane of the casement window and landed here, on the west side of the street. And yet, it was actually found here, on the opposite side of the road, in the victim's hand. Meanwhile, according to the testimony we've heard, Mrs. Beat's bouquet should have been dropped here, at the scene of the crime on the east side of the street.
But in fact, it was actually found here, on the opposite side of the road, in front of Mr. and Mrs. Garadab's house. There's no logical explanation for those things, unless someone deliberately moved them.
What are you trying to say? The way you're talking, it sounds like you think my Rolly's done something wrong. Don't you listen to a word that scrawny lawyer says? Withering or wittering? Wittering? What word is a wittering? Wittering on about books and bouquets? Why should we care? It's nitpicking, that's what it is.
Oh good, Mrs. Garadab's come around. Just what I needed. You might call it nitpicking, Mrs. Garadab. But deliberately meddling with the scene of a crime is a criminal offense. It's called,
tampering, Mr. Naruhodo.
Whoa, why is the old man so mad?
I hate the word tampering.
But the person responsible for this tampering cannot admit to it, for a very subtle but compelling reason.
Because it would send them to jail? I'd imagine that's why they're not talking about it. Tampering? You've just learned the term. Tell us, my learned friend, who would possibly have had cause to carry out such an elaborate deception?
Yes, there is someone who tampered with the scene of the crime that evening. All the evidence and all the testimony points to that one particular person.
Counsel, I must demand that you substantiate this conjecture. Who are you saying is responsible for tampering with the scene of the crime?
Well, obviously, sir, it was male Strongheart. Okay. I don't think I've ever looked at this. Cool. Okay.
Obviously, there's only one person it could have been. Constable Rolly Beat, it was you.
What? A policeman? A member of Scotland Yard?
What nonsense! Why would my Rolly do something like that? There's no one straighter than my husband. Trust me, he's my husband. Nobody works more tirelessly for the people of London.
Mrs. Beat, you said in your testimony that your husband asked you to go to a nearby police box to fetch an officer on duty. The 15 minutes you were absent from the scene is the only opportunity anyone would have had to tamper with it.
You're making it up. It's all nonsense. All lies. What about that Japanese man with the whiskers? I bet it was him. He did it.
If that was true, Constable Beat would have seen him do it.
Oh. And forgive me for pointing it out, but when you dropped your bouquet, Mrs. Beat, it was after the defendant had fled the scene. Well...
First you make an accusation about the landlord and his wife. Now you incriminate a policeman as well. But your accusations lack one very important thing.
Please say motive, please say motive, please say motive.
You claim the crime scene was tampered with. But there is only one reason anyone would commit such a reckless crime. To hide something.
Yes, he said motive.
That's right. He's right. But my husband and I just happened to be there, that's all. So why would we have anything to hide? It doesn't make sense.
You've offered no motive for the alleged tampering.
Yes!
And until you do, your accusations are nothing but empty threats.
You know, that's funny, because Constable Beat had a very good reason for wanting to tamper with the scene of the crime. That's the key to this entire affair.
Stop saying affair! Mr. Naruhodo, have you managed to solve this mystery?
Counsel, you have made a very serious accusation against a London police officer. If you are mistaken, I'm sure I need not point out that your reputation as a lawyer will be irrevocably damaged. With that stark warning in mind, you will now explain to the court the motive for this alleged tampering. Sorry, this voice is so low it's making me yawn.
Yes, my lord. Constable Beat's motive for tampering with the crime scene was to hide
where the victim fell. where the victim fell to the ground. That is why this Bobby had to cover up. That is what this Bobby had to cover up at all costs. What?
Where the victim fell? You mean where she was attacked? What are you talking about? We told you at the very start, didn't we?
There we go again.
On the pavement of Briar Road. We saw it happen, remember? It was right here, as if anyone didn't already know.
That's certainly what everyone's been led to believe. But in fact, that isn't where the victim was stabbed at all.
What? What?
I'm beginning to wonder where this tumultuous trial will end, Counsel.
I'm beginning to wonder if you have a brain. If that's your assertion, then the court is dying to know, my Nipponese friend. Where are you proposing that the crime actually took place that evening?
Well, right about here.
But that's...
On the opposite side of the road?
I don't understand.
On the evening in question, Mr. Garadeb's book fell directly down from the open window above, and your bouquet, Mrs. Beach, never moved at all. What did move was the scene of the crime itself.
Good gracious!
You realize how stupid that sounds, right? Perhaps you haven't been listening to the ample testimony the court has heard. But these witnesses both saw the moment the attack took place.
That's right. I saw it with my own eyes.
It was 5 o'clock in the evening and already dark. There was the typical London fog on the ground when you saw the incident unfold and ran to the victim's aid. That was actually the west side of Briar Road.
No, that's not true. It can't have been.
Constable Beat then arranged for you to be absent for a while by sending you for help. And during the 15 minutes you were away, he transplanted the crime scene. He moved all the things shown in this print, the victim herself, the 4 books. He moved everything, in fact, to the pavement on the east side of Briar Road.
Extraordinary.
But the constable overlooked one thing.
What? What did he overlook?
I love how he's just stood there like a zombie, like,
I'll get this guy in a second. The bouquet, I presume. Exactly.
The prosecution told the court just a few minutes ago about the discovery of a rose bouquet. Lord Van Zyke said it wasn't noticed until the morning, as it lay where the street lamps cast no light.
yes, it couldn't have been seen in the dark, obviously.
Which is why it was only the bouquet that was found in its original position, on the pavement of the west side of Briar Road. And that is the defense's theory about what really happened that evening. How do you respond, Constable Rowley Beat? Well, first thing, you didn't actually establish my motive, you just said how I'd do it. I'm very sorry. I didn't mean to nod off again, but I haven't slept properly in a month. Did I miss anything important?
Oh, Rowley, it isn't true, is it? What that lawyer said is all lies, isn't it? I know it is, because you're the most upstanding righteous man I know.
Yeah, well, sometimes I think you maybe have both eyes closed like I do right now. I had a dream. A terrible dream. All the things I did that night. Everything come out. Everything exposed. Only it seems that wasn't a dream, was it?
Good golly!
Order! Order! Order!
This has become a pirate ship. What on earth is the meaning of all this?
Oh, Rowley, why? Why would you do something like this? Moving a corpse it's a criminal offense, isn't it?
Wishing the victim dead should be one too.
Constable, explain yourself. Why would you do this? As a respected member of Scotland Yard, your duty is to protect the good people of London town.
Yeah, well, sometimes I wish I didn't have to do that. I can't say, sir.
What?
I really am ever so sorry about all this. For damaging the Yard's reputation. For everything. Well, I know I did. I have a possible explanation.
Shut it.
For why, on that particular evening, Constable Beat felt compelled to move the scene of the crime. I can think of one reason.
What? How could you possibly know? You, a foreigner, presuming to understand the mind of a Scotland Yard policeman. And yet, Lord Van Zykes, it is this foreigner who has uncovered the startling truth of the matter thus far. Maybe you could learn a thing or two? Also, are you not German? I believe it would be beneficial to the court to hear this extraordinary young lawyer's theory. Counsel for the defense, if you'd please.
Yes, my lord.
Now then, I think you'd better show us some evidence.
At once, my lord. England, Japan, it makes no difference where you come from. Human emotions are the same. And I think I have a fairly good idea of the feelings behind this man's actions.
What gives away the motive for Constable Beat's unthinkable actions?
It's just a bouquet again, right? Probably. I realize I'm a foreigner in this land. I've only just arrived from Japan, which is why all this information about London's so-called bobbies is completely new to me. I've learnt that, though honorable, patrolling the beat is the most demanding work in the world, for example.
Keeping the peace, looking after the citizens on his beat in all kinds of ways. There's no doubt that the young bobby is charged with a great deal to do each day, certainly.
But for Constable Beat, the day in question was special.
Special? How?
On account of this bouquet, my lord.
Oh, yes. It was our very first wedding anniversary.
Constable Beat had worked so hard to be able to afford this simple gift for his wife, and was so looking forward to taking her out for a celebratory meal.
When he and Mrs. Beat stumbled upon a crime along Briar Road. When he saw that shadowy figure through the fog collapse on the pavement ahead of them, what must have gone through the man's mind?
But sir, just on that one particular day, I was looking forward to celebrating my wedding anniversary. Mrs. Beat puts up with a lot being married to a bobby like me. I wanted to show my dear wife how much I care.
This is the warrant card that Constable Beat offered to lend me earlier. Inside, among the rules for patrolling policemen, it says, when a crime is discovered on his beat, a policeman must assist with initial investigations and help detectives.
Uh-huh.
Constable Beat, is that or is that not the reason why you moved the whole scene of the crime that day? Yes. Everything you said, it's all right.
So that's it. It was all to do with the boundaries of your beat.
Oh,
exactly. To summarize, the incident actually occurred on Constable Beat's beat. That's a little confusing to say.
Good gracious! Constable, do you realize the gravity of what you have done?
At least I got one night out with me wife. It was the first time since I became a copper that I'd ever cursed God. Stay close to me, Pat. The criminal could still be lurking somewhere. As we ran over to the scene, I had every intention of doing my duty as a police officer. We've got to report this to the station as quickly as possible. But then it dawned on me. I realised where we were, where the victim was lying, and what it would mean for me. When a crime is discovered on his beat, a policeman must assist with the initial investigations and help detectives. Why here? Why did this have to happen here? And why tonight of all nights? Why?
You can't help but feel a little bad for the guy.
It's a copper's job to guard the scene of the crime, so I told Pat she'd have to go to the nearest police box to fetch whoever was on duty there. It was then, when I opened my mouth to speak, it just came out. I couldn't believe the words that were coming out of my own mouth. It is the next beat to mine, Pat, so I have to go to the police box that covers it. Turned right along Mearsham Street, and then...
I am unmoved. I'm a little moved.
I'm very moved.
I'm sorry that I moved. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
Oh, Constable.
I just wanted, just that one night, to take my butchers out for dinner.
Oh, Rolly.
Just that one night.
You knew that if the incident was on your beat, your evening of celebration would be ruined. So you decided to move the entire crime scene out of your jurisdiction. Just across the street, to the east pavement of Briar Road, which falls under the neighboring beat's care.
You see, I thought, well, I was sure the victim was dead, you see.
I beg your pardon?
Oh, of course he did. Otherwise, my Rolly never would have left the poor woman on the freezing cold pavement.
Ah, I see your meaning now.
So I had to kill her. No. But God got me back for my sins, didn't he? That's why I missed the rose I bought for Pat.
Oh no, Rolly, this is all my fault. I should never have dropped it in such a dark place. I'm so sorry, Rolly.
You know, I'm not really all that sorry about it. And can you tell us, Constable, how many books did you move from one side of the road to the other in total? Oh, 4 it was. Yes, sir. Definitely 4.
3 of them dropped by Mr. Natsume, and the 4th being the one that fell from the window upstairs in the Garadeb household, of course.
But what made you place that book in the victim's hand? When all the others were scattered haphazardly around her, I mean. Oh, well, sir, it's because of how I found it.
How you found it? What do you mean?
When we first ran over to the scene, the victim was already holding the book. So, when I moved everything, I made sure it was still in her hand.
So she was bent over, you mean? Her back was perfectly parallel to the window up above where the knife may have fallen from.
You're sure it was this book, The Lion's Pride, that the victim was holding? Oh yes, sir. No doubt about it, sir. Interesting.
Oh, look at that.
Am I going to jail forever now? I thought it was an open and shut case at the time, you see. There were only the 2 people at the scene, and Pat and me both saw it happen. However which way you looked at it, it had to be the fellow who ran off who'd done it, I thought. I couldn't see the harm, really. I didn't think moving it all over the road would make a jot of difference. I suppose this is it for me now. I've had it.
My lord? Yes, Lord Van Zykes?
I request that the constable be executed publicly right here in the courtroom. I believe this concludes the cross-examination of the witnesses. Constable, you may withdraw.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Prosecutor, sir, what will become of my Rolly? What'll happen to him?
I'm going to drink his blood until he die. For now, you're free to go home. The police will contact you in due course.
Please, don't punish my husband. This was my fault. It's because I'm always moaning at him for coming home late.
Leave it now, Pa. Let's go home. I'm tired.
I love the way she turns.
All right then, my love.
One last thing, Constable.
Sir?
Let this be a lesson to you. Never get married. In a criminal investigation, every detail matters, however insignificant it may seem to you at the time.
Yes, sir.
Carve that lesson in your mind, or I'll carve it in your flesh. And never again make the mistake of tampering with the scene of a crime.
You make it sound like I'm going to be allowed to go back to the police force. But, never again, sir? You mean to say...
Leave, now. This trial is not yet over.
Sir?
I'm going to keep you as a ghost that shall do my bidding.
Alright. Well, quite a startling revelation, I must say. Whoever thought of a third party transplanting the entire crime scene like that?
Indeed, my lord. Nevertheless, there are some immutable facts here. Principally, that the accused, Mr. Soseki Natsume, is the only person who could have possibly committed this crime.
Not anymore. No, I disagree. Now that we know the true scene of the incident, there is someone else. Another person who could be responsible for that knife in the victim's back.
Forgive me for being presumptuous, but I believe the prosecution is probably well aware of this possibility already.
Lord Van Zykes, is this true?
Ugh. Very well. Name the person, if you will, and if further investigation is warranted... The prosecution has no objection to the trial continuing.
You will name this other person who could have perpetrated the crime.
Well... The defense would once again like to request the cross-examination of a new witness, my lord.
Once again?
My assistant made the same request earlier. In order to finally reveal the truth of this case, it's imperative we cross-examine juror number 4, Mrs. Joan Garadeb.
Me? Oh, dearie me.
You can't cross-examine a juror.
Well, why'd you choose someone for the jury that's so connected to the incident?
That request has already been denied.
But the situation is very different now. Mrs. Garadeb, answer me this.
What do you want now, you little toad?
At the time of the incident, you were engaged in a violent argument with your husband, Mr. John Garadeb. In the course of the argument, a minor house fire was ignited. And to clear the smoke from the room, your husband opened a window that looks out over Briar Road.
Well, what of it?
You threw this book at your husband when he was cornered with his back against the window. Upon striking the pane of the open top-hinged casement window, that's so hard to say, the book plummeted directly down, finding its way to what we now know to be the true scene of the incident.
Yes, and as I said, what of it?
During the argument, you were beside yourself with rage. As such, you threw not just books, but anything you could lay your hands on. So, let me ask you one more time, Mrs. Garrideb. This knife, the one removed from the victim's back, have you really never laid eyes on it before?
I don't recall it.
Seriously?
How am I supposed to remember everything I picked up and threw at my husband?
Alright, that went way too high.
And anyway, the man over there and all that regalia said members of the jury needn't testify, didn't he?
Conveniently, yes.
No, I have no recollection of saying that at all. Juror number 4.
Oh?
Make no mistake, you jurors are not special in any way. You're all useless just like the rest of these people. You're not immune to the judicial process. I can suck your blood just the same. If you know something about this knife, madame, let the truth come out.
But that's just a common or garden knife. It could have come from anywhere. We have several like that at home. If one went missing, how would you expect me to know?
What's that?
Are you joking? What are you saying? Please, Mrs. Garrideb.
We have a ton of those. I probably threw all of them. Now you listen to me. I refuse to believe all this nonsense. I couldn't bear the thought that I'd injured someone. Do you hear? I couldn't bear it. Oh, the poor woman. So, yes, I want evidence. I want to see hard evidence. If you're going to insist on this being my fault, you're going to have to prove to me that I threw that knife if that's what you think. Come along now, chop chop, do your worst.
Well, Mr. Naruhodo, if I had evidence like that, believe me, I would have thrown it at her already.
Very funny pun, counsel. Then take the stand, juror.
Oh.
The prosecution does not object to the defense's request to cross-examine this woman.
Thank you, Lord Van Zykes.
I'm going to have to testify?
Juror number 4. As I'm sure you will appreciate, having observed it with your own eyes today, witness testimony can lead to the most extraordinary truths being unearthed. Truths of which the witnesses themselves may not even have been aware.
Oh, dearie me.
So I demand your full and unadulterated testimony, Mrs. Garrideb. And mark my words, in this court of law today we shall extract the truth. Do you concur, counsels? I love extracting things, although mostly it's blood.
Oh, I don't do the blood thing, but sure. That's what I'm hoping for, my lord.
Are all lawyers vampires? I don't know. Let's find out. Is this a cinematic cutscene? I don't know. Let's find out.
This is such a strange feeling. For the first time since arriving in this country, it actually feels real. London is a real place that exists. I'm here, in the Old Bailey, and I'm a lawyer.
Yeah, sure, keep telling yourself that, kid.
I'm here all alone.
Witness, state your name and occupation.
My name is Occupation. Oh, yes, my name is Joan Garrideb. And I'm a juror and such like.
Sounds like even she doesn't know if she's a housewife or a maid or what anymore.
The court has decided your testimony is required in order to clarify matters of this case. Do you understand, madam?
Yes, my lord.
You will tell the court everything that took place in your household on the evening in question.
Everything, my lord?
Everything.
And I
warn you, do not attempt to steal my lines. Do not attempt to hide the truth. Oh, dearie me. Chin up, Johnny. Nothing to worry about now. I'm here too.
I don't remember what voice I gave him, because it was pretty close to Fairbank, or what was his name? Not Fairbank. Maybe Bruce Fairplay. That's his name. It was pretty close to Fairplay, so those two might sound exactly the same. I'm sorry. There's too many characters.
Oh, I did not know you were here, John. Why are you standing in the corner? Come stand next to me. You kidding? I'm not getting smacked by that hand. Damn, here I am anyway.
The sparkly eyes. It's the universal sign of love or something.
Wasn't only you in that room that day, old thing, was it? Rather think I ought to testify as well, don't you?
That's what it was. He was slower.
But what about your knee, dear? Don't you worry about that. Hardly notice it.
I'm just coughing up blood.
I'm not the sort of chap to leave a comrade to face disciplinary action alone.
Oh, John.
Great, we went from one couple to another.
I presume you are Mr. John Garrideb? No, my name is Mac tonight. Yes, sir. Former second lieutenant of the 3rd Regiment of the 4th Northumberland Fusiliers, sir.
I have not seen that word in a long time. I think I have seen it once in a military game or something.
Seen my fair share of action, and now living the quiet life, as it were. The quiet life? Were you not engaged in an incendiary battle with your spouse just on the day in question? Well, yes. Quite. I believe this may represent a first in the proud history of British court.
What?
Calling a juror to the witness stand is unprecedented. However, the court will hear your testimony now, juror number 4, and that of your husband.
I have a name.
You will recount clearly and concisely the events in your home at the time of the incident in question.
We shall make this the last cross-examination of the day.
Sir, at once.
He's got the stiff upper lip thing going on. You know, that's what his face looks like.
Oh, good. Maybe this is how I'll talk of him now.
The Battle of Garrideb. That's hilarious.
Yes, on the day you're referring to, the wife and I did have a bit of a skirmish. Can't recall the reason now.
Oh, you can't, can you?
Knocked a candlestick over and set fire to the carpet. Soon had it out, though, and got the window open.
Meanwhile, I was picking up whatever I could find to throw at him.
Plenty of knives around our place. Can't say I'd notice if 1 or 2 went missing, I'm afraid. If that bully thing in the victim's back really was one of ours, you'd have a job proving it, I think.
Cool. Very cool, Mr. Garrideb. Very awesome.
It sounds as though it was quite the battlefield in your household that evening. Although, an entirely one-sided assault, it seems. The enemy caught us...
Oh, God, he's even doing the same thing. The saluting all the time.
The enemy caught us on the hop, sir. Had no choice but to dig in and take defensive measures. To be honest, if the enemy had kept shelling us for another minute, we'd have been toast. Of course, a veteran such as myself is only too aware that on every battlefield, you're just a gnat's whisker from death at any moment.
Are we still talking about a marital quarrel here?
Well, life is a battlefield, you know. I must say I'm dubious that this testimony will shed any light on the origins of this jackknife. In combat, one's focus narrows such that surroundings are barely noticed. These witnesses may not be able to offer anything more than they have testified already. This may truly be a dead end.
Well, it was a dead end for somebody.
She's not dead.
Van Zykes may well be right.
Well, whenever the chance is, we only have this last cross-examination to uncover the truth, Mr. Narhodo.
Yeah, I'm afraid so.
Is this it, then?
Very well, counsel. Begin your cross-examination.
Because we haven't even seen Fancy Pants yet. Battle of Garrideb.
Yes, on the day you're referring to, the wife and I did have a bit of a skirmish.
The reason is what you told us yesterday, I believe.
Yes, that's right. If I remember correctly, it all started because of a note that was tucked into the pages of a book belonging to Mr. Garrideb.
A rather passionate note, in fact. But Mrs. Garrideb found the note, discovering her husband's little secret.
And she gave him a mighty number of slaps across the face for it, too.
What a sordid state of affairs. Ba-dum-tsh. Hell on earth. I didn't actually do it, though. I say, when a chap says he can't recall such things, it's common decency not to drag it all up. And besides, half of it was wide of the mark anyway.
Only half? A likely story?
These waters run very deep.
And what transpired next after these multiple blows to the face? Well, more blows to the face, I'm afraid.
And the fire also spread to some items of furniture, did it?
The bookcase, my armchair, anything of mine, really. Just so happens there was some bathwater around that evening, so I sloshed it about to put it all out. A most precarious situation you put yourself in. Ours is a 3-story townhouse on the west side of the street, where the water main isn't connected yet. I have to draw water from the public water pump during the day if we need any, see?
Lodgers are always moaning they can't get any water at night. Although, that little mustached Japanese man buys water in bottles, I believe.
The defendant, Mr. Natsume, you mean?
Yes, he receives a stipend for his studies, you know, from his home country. Can you imagine being able to brew a pot of tea at all hours? He's obviously very well off.
Have you actually seen the state of that man?
I believe he uses all of his income to buy books, actually.
Well, anyway, the point is, I was able to douse that fire with water, fortunately enough.
Meanwhile, I was picking up whatever I could find to throw at him.
Even though the room was on fire?
As far as I was concerned at the time. It was more important to extinguish my anger than the flames. When a woman wants to throw, she must throw. That is most certainly not true of a Susato takedown, Mr. Naruhodo.
How did she know I was thinking that? So, please cast your mind back and try to remember. Was a knife among the items you threw at your husband that day?
In all honesty, I don't recall. But I feel I must point out that I'm no monster. Let me see. Some bread, a cabbage, garlic, a towel, a sponge, a napkin.
Oh, he spun his pipe. How interesting, Mr. Garrideb.
I've still got some skill in me.
Okay, it wasn't that interesting. Do you have something to add, sir? Hello? Mr. Garrideb!
Don't shoot! Sorry, but I beg your pardon?
Did your wife's remarks just now bring something to mind?
Nothing of any significance, no. It's just that barrage of projectiles the old thing launched in my direction. Somewhat more solid than she implies. Books, bricks, the fire poker I seem to recall.
Ouch.
And the woman's aim is uncanny.
Wait, is she filling his pipe?
Ah! Good grief, woman, we're not at home now. This is a court of law.
Oh, dearie me, ever so sorry, dear.
That's my pipe, woman, not a cup. You can't pass it off like that anymore.
What is she even doing with a teapot in here?
Honestly, John, I never would have thrown such things at you, obviously.
Well, take a look at this, then. How do you suppose that happened,
Oh, his broken pipe.
Your pipe, sir? Had this thing in my hand, as usual, at the time of the onslaught. Knocked it clean out with one of her soft projectiles, she did. Yes.
It's full of tea, man.
And when I went to pick the thing up, it was broken in two. Like to see a sponge do that sort of damage.
I see. Your pipe was broken.
It would have never been sent flying unless it was hit by something pretty solid. Anyway, I managed to bandage the thing up for now.
Ah, you are one to exaggerate, aren't you, dear?
Not really.
I wonder what we should make of this account.
Could be important. Maybe the piece of the knife is in his friggin' pipe. Who knows?
Defense believes Mr. Garadeb's remarks just now to be of great significance.
This war veteran's words only tell us one thing. Betray a fiery wife, and pipes as well as hearts may be broken. Pipes as well as hearts, as well as bones, as well as lives may be broken. Sentimental wisdom, perhaps, but hardly worthy of adding to the formal testimony. Indeed. Common sense, one might say.
Might one?
In that case, would you at least permit us to examine the pipe, sir?
Huh? Well, don't see why not.
Oh, dearie me. There you go again, trying to ingratiate yourself with a young lady.
Very well. The court will accept the gentleman's pipe as evidence.
Cool.
Hope I didn't speak out of turn, Mr. Naruhodo.
Please, speak out of turn more. You're really helping me out here.
I was just feeling rather disappointed for you that your request was turned down.
No, it's fine. Thanks to Susato-san, we have some new evidence to work with. We should examine it carefully.
Well, thank you for that. Rebuttal, Mr. Garadeb. Now, if we could return to the crux of the matter.
Well, first I'm going to go to the court record and I'm going to look at this dang pipe. And then second, I'm going to quit for the day.
Well, would you look at that? What a shocker. What did I just say?
How has he not noticed that? And also, why is it not full of tea? But yeah, that's where I'm going to end it off for today. Whew. I forgot how many voices this has. I was prepared for Rolly and Patricia and Van Zykes and the jurors and the judge and Susato and Ryunsuke. I was not prepared for Mr. Garadeb. But hey, should be fun. I mean, if this is the last cross-examination for the day, then I guess next time we'll get to start investigation part 2. Because again, we haven't even seen Fancy Pants, so there's no way this is done. So yeah, thank you guys for watching. Subscribe, like, you know the stuff. I'm hoping the series does a little better this time, because, you know, it got like 1/10 of the views as Danganronpa last time, which makes sense. I'm mainly Danganronpa, but I do love Ace Attorney too, so it'd be nice if I could do some more of that on here. Especially considering what's going on right now with Danganronpa. Wah wah. Which is the music copyright claims. I guess this is in the future. You might think it was some huge deal. It's not really, but it'll be a little bit before I can do it properly again. So, thanks again. I will see you guys next time. Sayonara. Or I guess I should say, what would they say? I was gonna say ciao. That is absolutely not British. We'll go with Patricia, and we'll go
Toodles!